Welcome. So this is week 3 of Surf Mom Strong. So we're just talking a little bit about, and I'll talk more at the end, our meetup in-person workshop. I said it before you signed up, but I just want to be really clear that that day is not a surfing lesson. It's more of a time to get out in the water together, surfing on our boards, or in whatever way feels comfortable for you that day. So I don't want you showing up expecting that I'm going to teach you and give you lots of tips. I am someone who, when we're out surfing, I'm always willing to give you tips and ideas and suggestions, just little tweaks. But it's not a formal surf lesson. Okay. So who on the call right now has a board that they know they're going to bring with them on that day? And you can write it in the chat or you can, okay. And are you feeling comfortable on that board?
I have that board I emailed you about, Hillary.
Okay.
So yes,
Yeah.
when I've been out on it recently, I have not been feeling very good on it.
Okay. Refresh my memory what it is.
It's a performance longboard, so it's pretty thin.
Okay. Okay.
Um
Probably part of it.
yeah, it just feels like it's a lot of work because moves a lot, is meant to move a lot.
Yeah. It's meant for more maneuvering in the waves,
Yes.
which maybe at this point, like you're not, that's not
Yes.
really what you're going for. You just want to catch a wave.
Right. Yeah, so I feel like
Okay.
to, be stable even paddling I mean, it's funny, other friends have been like, "I don't think that board's good for you anymore."
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's what we're going to dive in today is talking about boards. I'll give you my opinions. As for that weekend, so I say like Barana, you're like, I'm not sure about a board. I don't even know if you have one. There is a place to rent right near. We're going to be meeting at, just because of the tide, I would have liked to do it at Publix, which is like Kapiolani Parks and nicer place, but it's going to be low tide. I don't want anyone to get freaked out with a reef over there. Um, so we're planning on rock piles, like Alloway Boat Harbor is where you park. And there's a rental place right there. I'm going to pop in there over the next week or so and get information. I also have a few other places that I would suggest to just like borrow a board for the day or just a friend as well. Or maybe after today, you opt to like, I was browsing Facebook Marketplace and I'm like, there's lots of boards I would pick up for on like $100 on Facebook Marketplace. And there's almost always boards on Facebook Marketplace. I'm like, oh, that would be a good learner board. So I'm going to dive into, okay, so that you have two, someone can borrow. Okay, awesome. And I'll bring my extra board as well. So maybe between all of us, we can figure it out that we're just exchanging and borrowing. Okay, let me share screen. Hang on a second. Let me go into. Okay, hold on. Bear with me a moment while I get this like all where I want everything. What's it doing? Okay. Sorry. All right, there we go. Seeing that first slide, Surf Mom Strong. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So, ooh. Okay, today, so this is like the wrong, yeah, we're on the wrong slideshow. Okay. Let's stop share and pull up the correct one. Bear with me a minute. This will take a second. How did that happen? Now I'm really confused. All right. That. Oh, weird. The order of my presentations got mixed up. That would do it. Okay. Sorry, guys. We'll get there. And then I want this to be okay. Here we go. Here we go. Drum roll. Did I get it right? Okay, that looks more like what we want. Okay, here we go. Okay, what board is best for you right now? And I'll talk about the different kind of boards. Where you should surf, we're talking about Oahu. I am not a knowledgeable surfer for anywhere but Oahu in terms of surf breaks. Unless you're going head into like New Zealand or Bali or Australia. Let me know. How to make time, what about the kids, like all these logistical things that I feel like get in the way. Like I don't have the right board, I don't know where to go, what do I do with my kids, how do I get this in a routine? So that's what we're going through today. And then we're going to dive into just some basic surf etiquette, which I think is always important to like refresh and have a conversation about. And it's kind of based off of my observations, having been out in the breaks more often recently. And just some basic tips to keep in mind for surfing and like actually catching a wave. Okay, so let's start with wet board. So did you guys know that well, it's debatable. Let's do a little research here. How many different types of surfboards are there? So I would say there's 5. Some places we'll say there's 6 because they'll separate out the Fun Board and the Mini Mal, which used to be called a Mini Malibu. Has anyone heard of that? Do you even know about that? So Mini Malibu was my favorite board ever. So first off, though, let's start from the top. There's long boards. These are generally 9 foot or more. 8'6" is maybe debatable. 8 foot 6 inches, maybe that's a long board. Hard top. It is hard to maneuver for beginners. So longboards aren't necessarily exactly what you want as a beginner. And I'm talking about a hard top board, like a fiberglass or epoxy. Then you have your soft top. Around the world, it's better known as a foamy. This is the best to learn on. And they're generally 8 to 9 foot. Now, in my observation, I'll get a little more detailed on the next slide. I think moms should go more towards the 9 foot, which is actually harder to find. Like the Jerry Lopez board at Costco is 8 foot, and I don't like it. I'll get into more details about that. I don't suggest buying it. I think it's not a good learning board for moms. I see moms all the time struggling on that board. And then I give them my giant pink soft top that I specifically searched on Facebook Marketplace for a few months until I found a 9 foot soft top that popped up, and it was the best board. It really is what got me back into surfing. A Fun Board or a Mini Mal actually might be what you want to go towards as when you're ready to ditch the soft top and you want some more maneuverability, because they're thick and easy to paddle, but they turn easier than a longboard. So you can have fun. They're fun. They're just fun. I had the most fun in my life on what I called Flower Power, which was a 7'6" Fun Board is what we called it. But now when I did more research, it's like a Mini Mal because it was really thick. Short boards are less than 7 foot. They're more for advanced surfing. If you're super dedicated and really get into it, you might want to do a shortboard progression. I don't shortboard. And a fish is actually what you see behind me. They're like shortboards, but they're thick and they're made more for mushier or smaller waves. So they're a kind of shortboard that you can still catch pretty small waves on. So if I take out a shortboard, if I'm feeling really motivated, it's going to be something like that. And there we go. So my picks. Did a lot of research this week. Board I would buy if I was trying to get back in the water. It's not available, but you can keep your eye out for something similar. It's from South Bay Board Co. I think this is exactly the board I got off of Facebook Marketplace. Mine was hot pink, but it's a 9 foot Heritage Premium beginner surfboard. And it's awesome. It's just easy to paddle. It's really stable. You can go out on any day and you're going to catch something. The one thing I would say is a downside to it, if it is a little bit bigger, it doesn't, like, you just got to go straight. Like in it, so it's a little harder to maneuver on bigger waves, but you just stay more inside then. Like you don't go out on those big waves and you still have fun. Just showing, like, I like wave storms over the Jerry Lopez. I don't know what brand he's producing those through, but I like the good old Costco wave storms, which you can find for like $80, $100. There was one for $100 on, this is from this week, on Facebook Marketplace. And that one had a sock. Now I don't know why you would need a sock for a soft top. You don't. But and then I wanted to point something out. Like if you're really looking at boards a little bit more, like wanting to get something that you're really going to like, you want to watch out. I found it interesting to come across a soft top. This was Surf Tech, which is another great brand for surfboards in general. And they make a soft top. But they sell it in different volumes. So it's 8 foot. These are the width and the thickness dimensions. So it's 24 inches wide, 4 inches thick, pretty standard there. But then 105 liters, or you can see this one is a little bit narrower, but still 8 foot, a little bit thinner, and it's 76 liters. So that's how floaty it's going to be. And I personally think for moms who aren't getting out a lot and just trying to get it, when you get out, you just want to have fun. You want more volume. I don't think you need to lug around an 11 or 10 foot board like they send you out in Waikiki on. Those are a little bit excessive and they're going to be hard for you to carry. And they're just too big. But a 9 foot, I feel like it's the sweet spot. But just watch if you happen to have this option of like, do I want a little more volume or a little less volume? More volume. Why a soft top? Well, they're just safer. They make it really easy to catch waves. You can they're just really, they're more like a boat like, or a kayak. Okay. So you're just going to like cruise into waves easier. Now, if you want to do more than just catch a wave and you're looking to get a little bit more like able to turn a little, well, then you may want to go like a little lower volume or the thinner. So the 3.4 inch, or you're looking at maybe I get like a 7.6 or an 8 foot or an 8'6" board that's pretty thick. So it has a high volume, and I'm talking about a hard top. I'm looking at Shannon. These are my dimensions. Maybe the volume is part of the volume is definitely part of the problem. 2.8 is, I don't know, that's kind of thing, but it's not a soft top, is it? I mean, that couldn't be a soft top. Yeah, it's a hard top. Yeah, it's usually the volume that's the issue. Now, volume becomes much more significant with short boards because you can get such a low volume that like the board's underwater when you're paddling. It's not as much of a consideration with long boards, but it's something to be aware of because I'm saying a little higher volume than what I think the standard surfboard shop guy is going to recommend is probably what you want. Because they're coming from this perspective of, you know, they're probably pretty strong. They surf a lot and they're like, oh, like you want to get in it and have to, you know, be able to do stuff. And I'm like, I think we're coming from a place where we just want to know that we're going to catch waves. The other nice thing about soft tops is you're not going to get dings. So then you're not going to worry about like your board being out of commission while you get it fixed. You have a fiberglass board that gets a ding, water can get into that fiberglass and ruin your board, make it not floaty. And you need to get it repaired. You can temporarily repair it with duct tape, but that's not going to last forever. And repairs are expensive. Epoxy boards are harder to ding and are more durable for that reason. So if you're looking at a hard top, and you don't want to worry about dings, an epoxy is probably a little bit better of a choice. That's what my Flower Power was for years. The other nice thing about soft tops is they're light to carry. Like if you're considering a longboard, well, I have a 9'2" longboard. I've had it a year and a half now, and I'm finally getting used to carrying it. Like I've had to develop spine strength and arm strength just to get my board to the beach. And I can't go that far walking with it, or my back is going to get sore the next day. So you're more limited. That's where that Mini Mal fun board size might be a better consideration, because you don't need to develop the strength to get it to the beach. Catch surf, this you see all over the place. They're the soft tops that have the Odyssey on them. They're really popular and they come in like really cool colors and soft tech. But the one I picked out that I was like, this is the one I would get, is right here. And I'll include a link for this website in our email today. Any other links from this slide that you're thinking you might want? Let me know. Just pop it in the chat. Okay. Top beginner breaks on Oahu. So all 4 coasts. South, obviously canoes. I mean, I think canoes is just if you can get there. It's just the best learning spot. There's so many different areas and everyone's learning. So surf etiquette is a little bit looser there, as you probably know if you've surfed there. Like I was just kind of a free for all. So that might freak you out. You don't want that. Then I like where we're going to go, which we can have a debate on what you call it, rock piles, in betweens. It's not bowls. It's not kaisers. It's kind of this in between area. And then I'm really starting to like Publix. So Publix on this map is actually over here. And canoes on this map is like all right here. And this is Queens. I don't recommend Queens. It's very territorial. And people don't like you not knowing what you're doing over there. I don't recommend it for beginners. I also love just right in here. It's called like Baby Queens. And it kind of comes this way. This is where I'll catch waves with my girls on the board. So this is canoes. Publix is way over here. Okay. East, Mini Makapu or Cockroach Point, depending on what you want to call it. It's right near the research pier. That is a great spot. It sometimes has nothing, so you might want to check the surf report. But you can always, like, it's a beautiful place to paddle as well, and just kind of snorkel around if there's nothing. Flat Island is actually really good. This I came to have more of a liking for with Surfing Moms. It's one of their spots. It's a long paddle out, and it never looks like it's going to be good, ever. But it is often surprisingly good. You do need to watch the tide. Same with Publix. You need to watch the tide. I don't suggest going there on a low tide. Flat Island, you can go on a low tide, but it's going to be pretty shallow. So maybe like more of a moderate to high tide. But it usually pays off to have that paddle. And that paddle is great for us. So you go to, like Shannon, you live on East Side. You just have an opportunity to get out in the water. And at least you're getting a paddle in, and maybe you'll get lucky out at Flat Island and catch a couple waves. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm trying to reduce the chat. Okay, so that's where you learned. Yeah, it's finicky though. It's on and off. West Side, I don't know West Side too much, except I think there's a lot of really advanced breaks, but I would always tell a beginner to go to White Plains. It's more of a beach break. It's kind of crazy out there too, in terms of like the break kind of changes every day. And then North Shore, Puena Point. So that's just right over the bridge, the arch bridge in Haleiwa, and there's a great inside. Even during the winter on huge swell days, you can catch a lot of fun little waves on the inside of Puena. It's very safe. So don't like mark it off like, oh, I can't surf North Shore in the fall or winter when there's big swell. At Puena, you can. It's going to be a little crowded, but it's really fun. And Chun's is another great learning spot. It's kind of like the learning spot on North Shore. So there's a lot of less advanced surfers going to Chun's anyways. Okay. So let's see if these links work. This is super cool. It's a surf map. Oh, it's not. Is that popping up for you guys or no here? Okay. How about now? Is that popping up now? Do you see the map now? Okay, I just dragged it over. So I'll put this link in the email, but you can go around and like it has every, oh, Shark Country. Maybe not go there. Actually, I don't even know where that is. That's so funny. I just clicked on that. But if you scroll in, I mean, there's so many breaks. And so where we're going to be meeting, this is where it's funny. Everyone calls things different. Like we're going to actually be going to break what it says break here. So we meet up, we paddle out from here. This is like the jetty by the lagoon, by the boat harbor. And you paddle out. Now you can see the reef here. Like this is super shallow, but we sit like right around here and catch here, or you can kind of go right a little bit. We'll talk that day. And I just love it. And then if you go down towards Publix here, Publix is where that other jetty is. It's straight out from the Barefoot Beach Bar. But you see recently there's a lot of surf lessons happening here now. And it's a really good little inside break. It does get shallow though on low tide. So you might want to avoid it on low tide. But it's really fun. So I'll share this map with you guys in the email just so you can pull it up. It doesn't give great information about the breaks. Hold on, I'm trying to get back to, okay. So what I suggest and what really helped me when I was trying to figure out where to go more was buying a Franco map. So Franco map is this, and they sell it in like surf shops everywhere. And it has a little description about every break that is really helpful in kind of knowing where you might want to go or where not to go. But I think that was something we used for years, especially when I was learning. The next one here, okay, Surf News Network. I don't check the surf report for wave size really at all. So why don't I do that? I did it for years and I would see what it says and it would often deter me from going. And then if I did go, just ignoring it, often I'm like, that surf report was totally wrong. So it's not very accurate. Are you seeing the website, guys? The Surf News Network? Okay, thanks, Shannon. But what I do check is the tide because I want to know, is it going to be shallow or is it not going to be shallow? And so I'll scroll down I'm going to just go to South Shore because that's usually where I'm going. So I can see today down here that it's high tide at 8:07. So yesterday morning, I actually went to Publix and it was super high tide. So a 2-foot tide, Shannon probably knows this more, is like a pretty big tide here. Often it's just like a 1 in the 1 range, which isn't a huge tide. But just checking. So I wouldn't go at 4:00 today to Publix. That's when I might go over to rock piles instead, where it doesn't matter what the tide, or canoes, it doesn't matter what the tide is. So just something to look at. And then it's showing the surf report here is, I'm not going to go into like the details of how to read the surf report, but I do think it's helpful if you know where you're wanting to go and you know that at low tide, it's generally, I'm going to move that away. It's generally going to be whatever the wave conditions are that day. The waves are going to be a little bit bigger at low tide than at high tide because there's just less water. So it gets a little bit bigger. Not significant unless there's a big swell. Like on a 0 to 1.5 day, there's basically no waves. There's not much. It's a great day for moms to go out. I like small days because I'm like, no expectations. And chances are I'm going to catch a few things that are really fun. And there's not going to be a lot of people around because everyone looked at the surf report and was like, meh, it's no good. Okay, let me get back to, and then
Hillary, really quick, can you talk about Um, the tide is falling or rising, which is better? I mean, I know it's obviously
It's
site
usually
dependent, but
better on the falling tide when it's shifting from, so you'll see this distinct difference over time. You'll tune into this distinct difference as the high tide is coming to low. So when it gets to peak high tide, there's often just a lull in the waves. So peak high tide is like the worst time to go because there's literally can be like an hour where there's like no waves, especially on a small day. So, but then if you catch it like right, so maybe high tide's at noon, I might aim to go at, I won't go at 11:30 or 12. I'll try go at 12:30 if I have that option. Um, but the dropping tide is usually the best, and then you hit the low tide and it starts to taper off again as the tide goes up again. Does that answer? So if you're getting super technical, that's the way I would do it. The ideal is like maybe an hour after low tide. I mean, high tide, hour after high tide. Okay. Some people swear by these websites. Yvette, do you have a question? No. Okay. Just on mute if you have a question. Magic Seaweed and Surfline are other. I just like Surf News Network. It's quick and easy to look at. Whereas Magic Seaweed and Surfline are international. They go all over the world. So it can sometimes just be too much. Okay. Finding the time. One of the biggest shifts for me has been just literally scheduling it, and making an agreement with myself and my husband that I will get in the water once a week. My agreement with myself is twice a week, but the really strong agreement is once a week. So, and I just schedule it in. So it's usually Tuesday or Thursday mornings for my work schedule. And then there's almost always not like, because I'm part of Surfing Moms, which we'll talk about, or like this Waves of Grief thing this weekend. Like there's often a lot of opportunity for surfing related events on the weekends, like a paddle out or just a group meeting. And I find if I plan to go to those, that's a great motivator because there's other people showing up at the same time and same place to go surfing. So that's been helpful on the weekends. Or so scheduling it, surfing related events, and then lessons. So if you're really wanting to learn and feeling really unsure about your skill and feeling kind of like, I don't know, like just not sure about it, I think scheduling a weekly or a monthly lesson for yourself, just one-on-one, is a great way to get more consistent. And so I am, I'm not like an internationally certified surf instructor or anything, but I am offering surfing lessons one-on-one only. I'm not doing groups or anything. So if that's something you're interested in and you want to make like a commitment with each other, like, hey, Hillary, let's meet every other week for 2 months to go out for a lesson, like hit me up. I'm happy to do that and give you tips and get you feeling more confident on your board or just being able to more consistently catch waves, understand the water better and how the movement of the ocean, all things that are helpful when actually catching a wave. Don't check the forecast, just go. Like we kind of talked about that already, like just go. And also something when I talk to a lot of other moms who surf with more consistency, they're like, I just need to put my board in my car and keep it there. If it's a soft top, you can just keep your board in your car or routinely put it in your car. So something my husband helps me with now is on Tuesday or Thursday, like the night before, he'll put my board in my car. So then, and it's even happened a few times already this school year, where I've come down in the morning and been like, oh my God, I forgot I was going to go surfing this morning, but now my board's here. I'm going to run up and get my suit. I always have my leash and towels in the car, and I'm just going to go. So I think just, it's like laying out your yoga mat, putting out your running shoes, like get that surfboard out of the storage, lean it next to your front door, put it somewhere that you just are going to see it and do it and more likely to grab it. Okay. I also think this is cannot be emphasized enough. And I would encourage you to like put a sticky somewhere or just remembering why this is important to you. In the first week, we jotted down some thoughts around our why. All of these statements here are from when I was putting together this program and talking to moms who surf about their number one reason they get out in the water or what they get most from it. So kind of their why. So sense of freedom, trying something new just for me, moments of time that are mine and mine alone, a mood boost, connection to nature, Aina, my home, a place to let go of everything and sit in the beauty that surrounds, where no one can bother me. Like that's a why. Like no one can bother you out there. Just go to get away. Feeling confident and accomplished, where I return to my best mom self. I love that one. She was like, when I'm starting to get really cranky and just feeling like yucky about how I am with being a mom, I know I need to surf. And when I come back, I am more into my best version of my mom self. And then connection to community. So I found it interesting how many of these are more mental health related. There's really not like maybe this confident feeling accomplished or trying something new are like really the only physical ones. The rest are emotional mental health. So reminding yourself that surfing could be like a key way to stay in a good frame of mind, boost your mental health. And then all the other stuff is just icing on the cake. So putting your why, and we're going to do in the workshop, in-person workshop, we're going to do a little more work around really crystallizing that why or getting the breadth of the why and making like a little vision board or just putting it somewhere to remind yourself, like, this is why I need to get out the door and do this. Okay. So what about the kids? Yes, we have kids and can't bring them surfing, or it's just not the same if they're coming for the surf, right? So what really worked for me was Surfing Moms. It's a nonprofit, and they meet on all sides of Oahu. On South Shore, they meet on Saturday mornings at the Hilton Lagoon right near Rock Piles. Kailua, they meet on Fridays. North Shore, they meet like Tuesday or Wednesday. And West Side, I think they meet Tuesdays. It's $52 a year. And that's really just because they carry liability insurance is for insurance and stuff. And also they do other things like meetups and stuff, outside of surfing meetups, like going to dinner and stuff. They meet up at the beach. One mom watches your kids and her kids while you surf. And then you come in and you watch her kids and your kids while she surfs. So it works out that you're usually surfing about 40 to 50 minutes in the swap. This is what just got me back in the water is the community. So I'm a huge proponent of Surfing Moms. And if their schedule of meetups works for you, try it out. But that doesn't always happen because, if you're working, you can't go on Friday to Kailua Beach in the morning. Partner swap. So this is also what's worked for me and my husband. So he's a huge surfer too. So basically what we are now doing is like, I get Saturday morning and you get Sunday morning. Or if we want to have a nice family morning, we'll do like, I get sunrise, you get sunset. If you're not married to someone who really wants to surf that much, maybe you do more of a activity exchange, like, hey, you can go for a hike and then I get a surf in this week. But what's key about it is not so much the communication around it. I mean, obviously you have to communicate when you want to go, or like timing, but is the agreement, the initial agreement. Every time you have the opportunity to go golf, I get an opportunity within the week to go surf, where you help watch the kids. So it's the agreement that is really key. And making a very clear agreement with your partner around it, with some parameters, like within the week. And that you can also prompt it, of course, hey, I want to go surf. So when do you want to go for a hike? I think it's just that's been one of the biggest things for me. A kid swap. So this is more an informal version of Surfing Moms. I've done this with some other moms as well, and it's been awesome. Because it's just, in some ways it's easier because you can go when it works for both of you, not when like the group is meeting. There is a Facebook group called Ladies Who Surf Together Oahu that I would recommend you hopping into. And I've seen some chatter even just recently of moms looking for other moms to swap on a more informal basis. My last strategy, and this is something my husband and I actually do a couple times a year, is we just make it a date. We go because we both enjoy surfing. We get my mom or we just get a babysitter and we go surfing, and then we'll go somewhere that we haven't been in forever. So grabbing some grinds at those old stomping grounds and just make it like old times for a date. And we often do that on like a Sunday morning. So we'll have a babysitter. The last time we did, we had a babysitter come at 7 a.m. We left and we got back by 10. And it was so much fun. And our babysitter was like, you want me to come at 7 on a Sunday? Like, you're crazy. I'm like, I know, but this is what we want to do together. This is more fun for us than like a dinner date night. Like, that's just not always our thing. So it was really fun. And she thought we were the coolest parents ever. Anyway, so some ideas there. So break out your journal. And I want you to jot down some ideas around a strategy for getting into a routine of surfing. So I offered a variety of ideas. And if any of those are sticking out to you, like, hey, maybe I'm going to join Surfing Moms or look into it. What is the strategy? Making the agreement with a partner, or even a babysitter or a mom or an auntie? And then what is your why? And where can you put it to motivate you? So today, what are you feeling is the number one reason that you should get out and surf on a regular basis? Now you get to determine the frequency. It could be once a month is your goal. It's a great goal. Twice a month, once a week, whatever it is. But what is your why? And put that somewhere. That's what I mean. Like, put it somewhere that you see it and you remind yourself of that often. Actually, a place where I put these things sometimes is the screensaver, the screen on my phone. I'll put like every set, I'll put affirmations on there or like a goal that I'm really working on. And so I see it all the time. And then what is the biggest challenge or barrier to surfing right now? Like, what, if there's one thing that you can put your finger on that's kind of holding you back or making it hard to get out the door, what is that? And once you have that down, I don't really have this here, but 3 ideas of ways to overcome that challenge or barrier. 3 strategies that you could try. And what that's going to form into is your 3-month plan for overcoming this challenge and getting into a routine of surfing. So month 1, what will you focus on? Maybe that's just identifying a board that you like. Or maybe month 1 is doing more of the exercises from last week and not worrying about getting in the water yet. Because you're like, I'm just not ready for it physically. And then month 2, what would be the focus of month 2? Paddling more, going to spots maybe like Flat Island where you do have to paddle a lot more to get out there, just to improve your paddling. And then month 3, what would be the focus of month 3? And all of each focus is helping you get over or work through that primary challenge or barrier. And then who can support you? Who, I'm here. Surf Mom Strong is going to be rolling into a membership type thing. So there's support there. There's lots of online forums. But do you have someone you can go surf with? Your partner? Who can you turn to for support and motivation? And then just back to the equipment, which I've heard a lot is a barrier. Could you jump in the water for a surf today? Like, do you have everything you need? If the time was available, could you go for a surf today? Would you know where to go? And would you have the equipment to do it? So is your equipment ready to go? So I suggest like checking your leash. Do you have a leash? Is it really worn out? Do you have a suit that you feel comfortable surfing in that stays where you want it to stay? And if not, do you have the board that you're going to enjoy grabbing, or a place that you can borrow a board, rent a board? And if not, what do you need to get that ready? And that's why I spaced out this session with our in-person meetup to give you guys a little bit longer time, about a week and a half, to get ready and have that equipment available and work out those logistics. Okay. All right. So let's have a little conversation about surf etiquette. Everyone good there? So, I mean, I'd be remiss to not just show aloha. You got to be friendly, respectful. You don't need to be you need to roll up and say hi to everyone, but little smiles and respectful. If you do that, it'd probably be good. Watch the break. So this is a big one. I feel like a lot of surfers just get to the beach, and I'm guilty of this as well. Just going to the beach and just like not even looking at the break, just like jumping in the water, like looking where the water's hitting the sand, and like putting my board in and paddling out. Where I think a big part of surf etiquette is looking at the waves before you get in the water and watching them for, even a minute or 2 minutes. But as you know, it can sometimes, what you see in 1 to 2 minutes looking at a break can change 5 minutes later. Like you could be looking at it during a big set, or you could be looking at it during a complete lull. So, so looking at the break, watching it for at least a moment or 2, and then paddling closer so you can see a little better. So now time has passed. And then you sit up on your board and you kind of reassess, like, oh, when I was on the beach, did I see a break set come through? And now I'm seeing, oh, there's like a big lull, like nothing's really come through. And then paddling through the braking zone outside the break zone, unless you're choosing to stay further in because you don't feel comfortable going out that far. That's fine. Always observing your surroundings. So I haven't had a lot of conversations about this, but I think it's important to mention here. I am always being aware of who's caught waves, who hasn't, who seems to be paddling and not catching waves, and who seems to be paddling and having success. Where are the surfers generally successfully catching the waves? And I'm also always staying aware of the wind and the currents. That's a safety thing because there's a lot of wind and currents here, and you can be taken away where you don't really want to be. So we got to be, number one, aware of your surroundings. And this is part of the etiquette. So you don't find yourself in a place you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be sitting right where everyone's trying to take off if you're barely catching any waves. So really being aware and kind of, you don't need to, it doesn't need to be over attention to that, but you should be generally aware, like, that guy in the orange shorts seems like he knows what he's doing. Oh, there's lessons in there. I should be aware when I'm going in, like those people aren't going to be able to maneuver very well. And just generally aware of who's around you. Oh, those people are chatting a lot. Likely the next time a set comes in, they might not catch it. So maybe I have a chance. Things like that. Don't paddle for every wave. Don't repaddle. So if you don't get the wave, you can repaddle for one, but really you shouldn't continue and continue and continue trying. You need to like reset and go back. That's especially true for really busy places. When it's not busy, there's a lot more leeway with this. But that's where it's important to keep tabs on who's catching waves, because technically, if there's 3 people in a break and the waves are coming in and they're kind of going this way, this guy has, in the surf competitions, priority. He's on the inside. He's going to catch it and go. This guy does not. So technically, this guy should catch the next wave, and then he's gone. And then this guy should catch the next wave. And then this guy should catch the next wave. Now, if this guy goes for a wave and then falls and doesn't make it, he doesn't get to go for the next wave. He technically has to get back in line and wait his turn again. And then this guy catches it and goes. And then this guy, you both start paddling for it at the same time. Well, this guy still has the right of way because he wants to go that way and you're in his way. So you should get off the wave, or you shouldn't have paddled for it in the beginning. So maybe that's something you guys aren't aware of, but I think that's important. Like, that's technically how it's supposed to go. But when you're a break of like this canoes break of like 400 people, you just got to kind of keep tabs on who's catching and which way are the waves going and people moving. Like, are they tending to go left or right? So that you're not dropping in front of someone who's trying to go left or right. When catching the wave, is anyone else on the wave? Trying to be aware. I know when we were learning, and I remember this myself, I always like, well, I'm just trying to get on the wave. It's hard for me to like look around and know who else is there. Just trying. I think this comes more in time, and it's very hard when you're learning or new to a break, but it is important to be aware for safety reasons and really aware of lessons occurring, because anyone with taking a lesson you have to expect is not going to be able to get out of your way at all. So it's your job to either stay away because you don't feel you can get out of the way, or feel confident enough that you can maneuver around them, which comes in time. If you feel out of your league or unsafe for any reason, paddle in closer to shore or go in completely. Don't wait for the lull and be like, oh, well, it's just a set, so I'm just going to try to stay here now, and then it will be a lull. No, if you're feeling unsafe or out of your league, leave the room. Go in, because you're more likely to put other people at danger, in risk. And just being patient. And that's why I think it's great to look at when we go out surfing. It's not just for like the experience of catching waves, for being in nature. It's for that mindset reset. There's all these other reasons to be there. So when it's really busy and I'm like, I'm not going to catch a wave, there's so many people going for these, I'll just kind of tune into those sides of my reason for being there. And it's really enjoyable instead of getting impatient. Okay, a few tips. So tip number 1, avoid being parallel the waves. So this pink line is parallel, and this is like, say this is a board. And so here's the surfer coming on a wave. clearly a beginner, but even if they weren't a beginner, you're much more likely to collide with each other than if you were perpendicular or facing out towards the horizon or in towards shore with that person. So when in doubt, if you see a person on a wave coming towards you and you're like, I don't know how to move out of the way, just make yourself face towards the horizon and don't move a lot. Okay. So that you're less likely to hit if you're this way than if you're parallel. So I see a lot of beginner surfers just like really hang out like this way. And I'm like, oh, it's really hard to maneuver around someone on a board like that. And you're much more likely to get hit. Even for myself, if I see I'm coming towards someone who doesn't seem to be trying to maneuver into a perpendicular direction, I'm bailing off that wave because it's much more likely I'm going to hit them in that parallel position. So this kind of goes to say with the last one is look at the horizon. So you can see this is canoes. And this is often what it looks like at canoes. Like there's nothing coming through. There's no one doing, everyone's just chatting and hanging out, waiting for a wave. And people kind of, people get off their boards, people start talking. But generally, always, just a rule of being by the ocean, just keep your eye on the horizon. Because at any moment, and it usually takes some time, and there's lots of people around you who give you social cues of like the surfer who's paying attention and starts paddling out because they see the big wave set coming. There's those social cues you can pick up on as well. But generally looking for where the surf comes from is what we should be doing. And that's knowing your surroundings and being aware. So these are clearly like very basic surf tips, but I think the basics cannot be overemphasized. Okay. So surf tip number 3. So you're out, paddled out, didn't get parallel anyone, you're sitting out at the break, you're watching the horizon, and you see a wave coming and no one's around, and you're like, maybe I could catch this. So the sit back turn is really key. I have a little YouTube video. In time, I hope to make videos like this of me demonstrating this stuff, but that did not happen yet. So let me go here and we'll quick watch this. YouTube. Now, YouTube is a great resource for tips.
On your surfboard in the ocean and waiting for waves. Normally, you position yourself that your chest is facing to the horizon, so you see the waves coming.
So see how he scooted back on the board and now he's twirling around. It is such an important skill to learn for catching a wave.
But that also means you
and
turn your
I'm going
board
to pause this for a second.
degrees.
So when there's beginner surfers and they don't know how to do this yet, they tend to sit more parallel because it's quicker to turn in a really slow way. And that's why they're sitting parallel, because they're like, oh, I need to turn quick. Well, if you know how to do this sit back turn, you're going to turn really fast, but then you're looking at the horizon the whole time. So I like how he demonstrates like in a pool.
Quite short time. When you sit on a surfboard, position yourself roughly in the middle.
So that's how you should sit.
That keeps the board flat and very balanced. Sitting on a flat and balanced board means also you sit very tall above the surface of the water, so you can look further out and you can see the set coming in earlier. And keep your legs open. This will give you a better balance as well. Don't pinch the board between your legs.
You're gonna get really tired.
But a flat board in the water is hard to turn around. Since it's completely flat, it's touching the water all the way, and it creates a lot of friction while you turn the board, especially when you try to turn the board while you lie on it. So to turn the board quick, you will have to get the board into an angle. Try to get the board, I would say, roughly
quick scoot back and the nose of the board comes up.
Off the surface
I use
of
my
the water.
legs a lot to swing it around. He's
up,
using his hands. Either way, whatever works for you, but this is a great thing to practice.
Slightly lean forward with your upper body to keep.
You gotta lean forward or you're just gonna go whoop off the back.
Sketchy for you. keep one hand on the rail and just turn the board with the other hand in the water. The quickest way is if you try to use your hip as well. Just imagine to throw the board.
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw, he kind of like leaned the direction he wanted to turn. So you're doing, and underwater, my legs are doing what I call like an egg beater, kind of, and turning, and I'm leaning, and I often will use just my legs and kind of guide the board around with my hands. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. Let's go to the next tip. Hold on, I need to move, too much stuff going on here. Okay. I love this one. So paddling, I mean, we could do hours on paddling, but basically when we paddle, and this is why last week was so important, is because we need that strength to hold ourselves like a banana on the board. So if you laid on the floor right now, can you hold your head up and your feet up and maintain core integrity? That's hard for postpartum moms, really hard. And your feet don't need to be like really high up, but the idea is that your lower body is working. So what your lower body is doing is legs should be together or close, not sprawled. Your paddling becomes horribly inefficient when your legs are sprawled on your board. So you want your legs together, and you want your butt not super contracted, but a little bit. I was playing with this in the water yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, my butt is contracted. It is working. And that helps activate my core as well. So I'm protecting my core as I'm paddling. And then my chest is up. Now, I was a swimmer for many years. I have a lot of upper body strength and like old muscle memory from all my years of swimming, which I think is helpful when I'm surfing. But those exercises we did last week, like the rhomboid push-ups and what I called the ATYs, are really helpful for you being able to use your mid back to hold yourself up. Those are some keys. And then this guy, this is a long video. I'm going to show a little out. He was the one that offered the banana idea. And I was like, oh yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to show you an aspect of this. I just got to put this screen over here, I guess. Of it. Let me see if I can find.
Transgender. It's made very, very cool through the media.
Okay. So it's around.
Cupped hand shape. It creates a nice vortex.
I think it's kind of this
The
section.
shape to match that
banana.
of a banana. This is a super important topic to chat about because not only does this position enable for a better, more sustainable paddling technique, it also protects our upper thoracic spine. And I thought, who better to talk about the importance of this concept than my very own chiropractor, who also happens to be called Kale.
A lot of the pivot point happens at C6 and C7 here, and that's surfer's neck essentially. The joints become inflamed, the disc itself starts to erode, largely because we don't have enough extension through the lower part, which is the thoracic spine. Now we want to try and create extension here that allows the neck to move more freely, but we also use our lats and our rhomboids and our mid and low traps properly in order to allow us to paddle. Therefore, we keep the upper traps lower and less tension off the neck as well.
The best part about paddling and paddling practice is that you can do it without actual waves. To work the muscles, which will help your banana become activated, you can do this kind of reverse plank position on the floor. The goal should be to hold this for 3 minutes at a time with the thumbs facing.
So basically that's an advanced version of what I was showing last week with the ATYs. And he goes into on a ball or on a bench doing the ATYs, which I was like, oh, see, that's exactly what I was recommending. So I thought that was helpful. Who here can do the banana like he's showing? Do you think you could hold yourself up like that, let's say for 2 minutes? That's a goal. That's something to work towards. And what I noticed is when I got back into surfing a couple of years ago, I had really tight upper traps. now I understand, and I kind of worked through it, not really realizing what I was doing, but I wasn't paddling efficiently. I was weak through my mid spine, my lower and mid traps and my lats were really weak. And so I was overusing my upper traps to compensate. So I still could paddle fast and good, but I wasn't using the appropriate muscles. So I think it's important to remember that. Okay, one more tip. I know we're a little over, but we're almost done. Popping up to your low squat. So if you remember last week, we did the squat where I kind of dip my knee in the middle. I think that's a fabulous exercise. What I see a lot of beginners doing is they're really trying to pop up and be really tall on their board. And I actually hear a lot of surf instructors telling them to do that. And I don't agree. The higher center of gravity you have, the harder it is to balance, more likely you're going to fall. So I would be a big proponent of trying to catch a wave like this little girl, like really low, or this little guy. One thing what you don't want to do is put your front knee down. Your front knee needs to be up, but your back knee can basically be down. Like this obviously is about to be barreled. This is a huge wave, but this surfer has his back knee almost on the board. And that you can rotate up and get into a stance much easier. Once your front knee is down on the front of the board, you're kind of stuck like that. So really low stance is the goal, which is why we need to work those squats, because it's hard to maintain that position that requires a lot of core, glute, leg strength. And you can see this is why calf stretches are really important. Everyone's knees, your knees tend to drive in front of your foot just for the balance and mobility of this on the surfboard. And so if your calves are really tight, you're not going to be able to do that without your heel coming up. And once your heel comes up, you fall. So just a little cues into how some of those exercises from last week really impact you in the water. Okay, so this week, and kind of over the next 10 days or so, finding a board, message me, let me know what you're struggling with, what you think your ideas for, like, if you don't have a board right now, what you're going to do, or check your current equipment, check that you have a leash that is in good condition, and that your board is in good condition as well. Making that 3-month plan, like when are you going to go? How are you going to get there? How often is that going to be? And why are you going? And lastly, movement, continuing to work on some of the movement, whether you go out for a paddle or swim or doing more land-based things like we went over last week. As for the workshop, we are going to meet Sunday, October 15th, 9 to 11 a.m. At Rock Piles, Alawai Boat Harbor. So I will send more detailed instructions on exactly where we're going to meet up before that day. The way the day is going to go is we're going to start with just grounding and intention setting for the surfing, for our time in the water. We'll go through a pre-surf flow, different than the one I sent out last week, a new and different one. And then we're going to go out and surf probably for maybe about an hour. And after, just gathering again for an after surf reflection. So I hope everyone can join, and I'll be sending more information about exactly where to meet up and all the details. And please reach out if you need some support on identifying or finding a good board for that day. All right, I am going to stop sharing and stop recording. Thank you.